So hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to Anti-Racism Lab's annual public lecture. I'm Shirley-Ann Tate, for those of you who don't know me. I'm Professor in Canada Research Chair in Feminism and Intersectionality in the Sociology Department of the University of Alberta. The University of Alberta respectfully acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people, whose presence, histories, languages, and cultures continue to enrich our vibrant community. I would like to thank our presiding elder Eliza Hillier, for her blessing. I would also like to thank Professor Magda Minguzzi for being with us today, Manza for her incredible organizational work, and Jovi for their translation from English to Brazilian Portuguese for us. Finally, just to let you know, your questions can be put in the chat, which Manza and I will monitor. For Brazilian Portuguese translation, if you look at the bottom of the Zoom screen, you can see interpretation. It's underneath like a globe with lines on it. If you can't find it there, then you'll be able to find it in more. I'm hoping now that Elder Hillier has been able to connect. So I'll pass over to her for her blessing.
I'm sorry, she is not here yet.
She's not here yet. Okay. In that case, then, Manza, would you like to introduce Professor Minguzzi, and then we'll go back for the blessing before Magda starts, if that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Shirley, for the welcome. Yes, so once again, welcome everyone to the November annual lecture. The Anti-Racism Lab is pleased to host this year's lecture featuring Dr. Magda Minguzzi, who is a professor in the School of Architecture at Nelson Mandela University in South Africa. Dr. Magda is also the lead researcher at the Institute for Coastal and Marine Research at Nelson Mandela University in South Africa, where she first conducted groundbreaking research on indigenous fish traps in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Dr. Magda's research interests are on tangible and intangible indigenous heritage in South Africa, Indigenous Knowledge System of the built environment, action, and community engagement research. So she'll give us a lecture as well as show a documentary called Origins, an investigation into Khoi-San Heritage Sites. So the documentary is about a community engagement research project with the First Nations of South Africa. Yeah, so I once again introduce to you Dr. Magda Minguzzi from Nelson Mandela University, South Africa. Welcome, Dr. Magda. Thank you so much for joining us this year for the November annual lecture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And greetings to all. Yeah, thank you for your introduction and for your help and support with the organization of this event. I would like to express my gratitude also to Prof. Shirley and Tate for inviting us to be part of this important annual lectures series at the Anti-Racism Lab. And I feel very privileged, and I thank you for this opportunity of exchange, really. It means a lot to us. Before we start, I acknowledge the First Nations as the traditional and spiritual custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, Canada and South Africa. And I acknowledge and pay respect and appreciation to the First Nation peoples participating in this documentary screening, and I salute you all. I acknowledge the First Nations of Southern Africa, the Khoi, Khoena, and San, as the spiritual and custodians of the land and resources where our research projects and documentary took place. I pay my respects to the elders in the past, present, and emerging, and recognize and celebrate the diversity of the First Nation peoples on their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and water of Canada, of South Africa, and far beyond. The documentary entitled Origin, an investigation into the Khoi-San Heritage Sites that we will see tonight, has been, tonight here in Southern Africa, but after this introduction, has been realized as a conclusion of 3 years of research in coordination with 10 Khoi and San chief, namely Gao Thomas Augustus, Chief Gau's Jean Burgess, Gau's Margaret Coetzee, Paramount Chief Williams Human, Gao Danji Jafta, Gao Brato Malgas, Gao Maleba, Paramount Chief Cornelius Stenkamp, Chief Wallace Williams, and the late Gau's Michael Williams. We work under the National Research Foundation of Southern Africa Community Engagement Project, and the documentary is an exploration of the pre-colonial heritage places and the Khoi-San and San sense of belonging in the Eastern Cape province of Southern Africa. The working group was formed in 2015 by me under the umbrella of the Nelson Mandela University School of Architecture, and is composed of the leaders that I mentioned, that living and their community living in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality in Southern Africa and vicinity, and aided by staff and students of the Mandela University. Since then, there is an ongoing collaboration based on transformative participatory action research with the goal of promoting acts of cultural reappropriation and reconnecting the first people with their heritage sites and the reformulating and reconstructing of the indigenous narrative done by them. These contribute to the building up of new knowledge, the restoration of the indigenous culture and narrative, and the decolonizing of the high education curriculum, the breaking of the boundary between the indigenous community and academia, and the building up of equity and inclusivity. I would like to mention, and it's very important to mention, that the Khoi-San culture has been mistreated and brutally repressed since colonial times, and this resulted in a disconnection from the cultural side and heritage sites. And further, I will briefly speak about this specific aspect. The 3 years research project linked to the documentary that we will see today has the goal to visit, map, and document pre-colonial sites identified by the chiefs as belonging to their culture. This site visit with the chief, representing the specific geographic zone of the study, were unique experience and are unlikely to be repeated anytime soon, owing to the fact that some of the sites are found on private property. Access is conditional on the permission of the landowner, and sometimes this is difficult to obtain because they are fearful of land expropriation if signs of indigenous heritage are confirmed. This fear is strongly linked to the absence of a clear legislation in the realm of cultural heritage in Southern Africa. It's important to mention that together with the documentation of the tangible heritage, so of the sites, the group collected also intangible heritage related to the site that we visited, so a storytelling. The 50 minutes documentary is seen as the essence of these 3 years of research that we've done together under the National Research Foundation, and contain the interviews of the 10 First Nation leaders, part of the working group, recorded on their selected place of belonging. Together, these interviews are also mounted together with an exploration of the territory of belonging. The documentary is an investigation of the meaning of Indigenous heritage, identity, and the sense of belonging of the Khoi-San people today. The result is documents of immense importance because it's the first time that the Indigenous people of Southern Africa's experience and testimony has been video documented, and it's an act of restoration where they could tell and rewrite their story. Before we screen the documentary, I would like to share a brief historical background that could help also to position our work more clearly, our work related, as I said, to act of cultural reappropriation. So we need to know that in pre-colonial time, the Khoi and some people used to be semi-nomadic people, and with a very interconnected relationship with Mother Earth and its resources. Semi-nomadic means that they used to move in a very defined territory according to the season, use of resources, and fresh water for their cattle. Since the establishment of the settled colonialism in Southern Africa starting in 1497 in Cape Town, these people have been systematically and increasingly mistreated and segregated. Laws were emanated, and they could not move freely in the territory, use their resources, or practice their religion and their culture. This resulted in the disconnection from the tangible heritage, the sites, and repression of any form of expression of their cultural identity and practicing rituals and speaking their own language. And the spatial and cultural oppression culminated during the apartheid regime, which started in 1948 till 1994, when in 94 we got the first democratic election in the country, started with the elimination of the Population Regulation Act 1950, which required that every South African being classified into one of the stipulated racial population group, so black, white, and the Fey category of color, under which the Khoi and the San, so the indigenous people of Southern Africa, fall under, together with the Indian and the Chinese. Another crucial aspect which reinforces the disconnection between the indigenous people and their territory was the spatial inequality and segregation of the city that were essentially divided in 3 major areas: the business district, where everyone could work together with any distinction during the day, of course; the suburb, where the white lives, and the township in the suburb, where black scholars were sent after the day of work. Again, those townships were divided according to the racial categories, where the people were forced to come on to vastly overpopulated, stunted towns, single-sex hostels, accommodation, or matchbox estates. This was clearly the final act of the colonial plan towards the elimination of the indigenous people and the reinforcement of the narrative that the indigenous people were not existing anymore. I would like to highlight also that since the ending of the apartheid regime, the Khoi people and the San are peacefully fighting to be acknowledged by the South African government as the First Nations and not colored. Now, with this short background in mind that I share with you, I believe that our work of cultural reappropriation will be more clear also and clearly positioned. And yeah, also with this short introduction, I would like to also give space to the documentary projection. And I thank you for your attention. And yeah, we will reconvene when the screening is ending. I thank you for your attention and kind guidance.
Thank you so much, Magda, for that introduction. I'd like for us now to go back to Elder Hillier for her blessing.
My name is Eliza Hillier. I'm from the Cree tribe. I originate from Saskatchewan, from Treaty 6 territory. The treaty we signed was in 1876. I am a survivor of the residential school. I attended the same residential school that my mother attended. I'm a generational conscript of re-socialization and all the deplorable actions that were put upon my people during the residential school system. I'm really blessed to be here today to join with you all. And we have this template that we call the medicine wheel, and that guides us through our journey. And it starts from the east when we are born, and then we travel to the south as adolescents, and then we travel to the west as adults. I have passed the west, and now I'm into the north quadrant of my medicine wheel, which means I'm almost finished my journey. I started my journey in 1945, so that makes me 78 years old. In the north quadrant of my medicine wheel is the direction of the elderly, where I am. There are winds of strength and courage, fortitudes, and gain knowledge throughout one's life. So I have gained knowledge through my life, and I have reached clarity and purpose to transcend knowledge that I have acquired. I pray for all these teachings today and to give thanks for gained knowledge, and to give thanks for all of you who have joined and listened quietly with humility. I like to say to each and every one of you, never doubt your worth or the beauty of your truth. Stay kind and committed to love. Creator, I pray for all my friends and colleagues who are gathered here today. I pray for their well-being, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. I give thanks with a grateful heart for a new day, for daily protection, and for bringing purpose and meaning to our lives. I give thanks for stronger kinship ties with each other, regardless of our past, our race, and our histories, and our different cultures. Instill in our spirits the enlightenment of collective knowledge, stories, and personal narratives that are woven into the truths and collective desire to undo wrongs that have been committed and forced into our societies through an unjust colonialism. I pray that our truths and sacred teachings act as a beacon to others in understanding that no one is greater than other, that the color of our skin and the different languages we speak do not make us less meaningful. I pray that our words, which are authentic sacred teachings, be a message to all that we are all equal. Creator, bless us with strength, conviction, and courage as we work proactively to transcend values of our sacred customs and rituals of philosophies. To trust in our inner senses, our minds, hearts, and our sacred spaces. To love beyond fear and to walk in balance with a greater sense of humility. I pray that we acknowledge as we redefine our sense of belonging to the global society. That they understand that our cultures, languages, and the desire to preserve humankind blend with commonalities with other global societies. That we share a deep responsibility to respect Mother Earth, water, and the air that we breathe. Bless us, Creator, that we become spheres of influence to our children, young people, and others who may not understand our cultures. Bless us, Creator, with Wakutuin in my language, Cree language, that means kinship. Sakituin in the Cree language means love. We humbly ask you to channel wholesome health in all our medicine wheels, in all our quadrants of the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical states. We give thanks that we understand that to love is to know peace, and peace purifies the heart, and forgiveness creates tranquility. Ginanaskum tinawaw nito temak. I give grateful thanks to you, my relatives. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Amelia, for your blessing. We really appreciate you as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So much appreciated. Thank you. I would like to mention that there are also some chiefs that are in the room attending the event. I saw Chief Thomas Augustus and Chief James.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
This film is one of the milestones of our investigation into the tangible and intangible indigenous pre-colonial heritage in the Eastern Cape. It is the conclusion of 3 years of research funded by the National Research Foundation of Southern Africa. The research group, established in 2013 after my arrival in Nelson Mandela Bay, and is composed of leaders of the first indigenous peoples of Southern Africa, the Khoi-San, based near Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, as well as staff and students of the Nelson Mandela University. Our discussions focused on 3 major themes, namely their origins as leaders of the first indigenous peoples of Southern Africa, their ideas on indigenous heritage and sense of belonging, and the significance of the specific heritage sites that they chose for their interview. This film contains extracts from the interviews that have been transcribed in full and compiled in the form of a book.
I'm Jean Burgess. I'm from the Gonokwa peoples. Where I come from, you become a leader because you are born into the indigenous peoples, and your leadership then is what you are born into being. I'm an indigenous leader. The indigenous leader is somebody that was there before anybody else was in the country. And a traditional leader can be anybody that follows a set of traditions and is a leader based on that traditions. To me, indigeneity is our culture, our spirituality, our language, whom we integrally are, our relationship to the soil, our relationship to the cosmos, our relationship to everything out there. And this here is the earth that speaks with fire. Fire came out right here where we're sitting. And in my culture, if a woman can't bear children, then the woman is brought to this here. So that the energy of Mother Earth that came out with fire and still comes out with fire makes her fertilize. Now when we went to the first spot, to me it is one of the few places where we as the first indigenous peoples have a sincere spiritual sense of belonging. And the botanical gardens that we are in now is directly opposite of what we as the first indigenous peoples live in the land of our ancestors. That is why this place is so symbolic of not belonging. I look at the pond I'm sitting on the edge of. The shape of the pond is square, where we work in circles and semicircles. There we see the weapon of whoever the conqueror was. The symbolism here of the control of nature, to me, reiterates the essence of our colonization, of us being controlled, of us losing our sense of belonging in the broader South Africa. Because currently we have very, very little sense of belonging, not just of geography, but because of legislation that is in the country, because of things like our existence is not acknowledged or accepted. Now the question I ask is, how can you feel you belong if your existence in the land of your ancestors is not even acknowledged or accepted? So the sense of not belonging lies very, very deep inside of us. It blocks our moving forward as a peoples. It blocks us asserting ourselves as a peoples. Because democracy is based on the voice of the majority, I don't know how the voice of the first indigenous peoples will ever be heard if our stories are not told. We still have to convince people around us that we are here, we exist.
My name is Khoi-San Chief Ogao Hamkao Maleba, which is my indigenous name. I am the authoritative chief of the Cape Khoi in Damasonkwa land, in the Nelson Mandela Metro, and also in the Sundays River Valley. Our forefathers, they were separated from their families, and they were given a religion, to accept the religion that was enforced upon them, as though they did not have a religion. My understanding and opinion is very much formed by how the indigenous Khoi viewed and still view the possession of land, because we believe that where your foot had trod, that was your place, not your possession, but it was your place of responsibility. This area here is seen as part of our heritage. It means, perhaps like others would put it, this is my land, this is my ground, this is my possession, and I have ownership of it. Because ownership in those days differ from ownership in these days. That is what somebody could say. I'm not saying that it is so, because that would conflict with the idea of possession of land. To think that in our time, in my time, I don't have access to that piece of land. It has been taken away by other people who were not originally from here. Where gates are put on and the places are closed up and warnings are put on these gates, and me as a chief of that area don't have access. And what is going to happen to my children's children one day when they are also confronted with a gate, where they are confronted with having to ask permission to come to a place like this. And it is a sad indictment against the people of our country who perpetrate these unfair issues.
I'm Paramount Chief Human of the Damakwa Kai Korana. I'm leading the Korana people now at the moment. I've got chiefs under me, that's why I'm Paramount. I became chief in 1997 when I recognized the fact that I was Khoi-San. I write all over my house. I'm Khoi-San. My clan is Kwa. I write it with varnish paint. Adam Cock 5. I wrote on my walls here in front. The newspapers used to come take photos there. They couldn't understand. They thought we are all mad people in this house. That's why I thought that time that I was the only chief in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. That is a Khoi-San. Land and language makes a nation. If you don't have a language, you're not a nation. If you don't have land, you're not a nation, even though you can speak the language. So, those historical places to my being is that we must take ownership of that historical places from this new government, ANC-led government. We must tell them or demand ownership for us for those places. Because there we can always perform rituals, we can perform ceremonies to let our ancestors be at rest and at peace. But my father was prohibited from introducing the culture to us, because otherwise they will go to prison, they will go to jail. You see, we couldn't even speak our mother tongue language because we will go to jail. My father will go to jail. We will go to jail. Bettelsdorp is a stone throw from my property. So I'm still in Bettelsdorp, historical place. Andries Stuurman was killed here in Berelsdorp. You know that, eh? Andries Stuurman was killed here by the missionaries, by Van der Kemp and his people. So it's a historical place where I'm living in. And my mind goes to Klaas Stuurman as well. Because Klaas was actually the architect of the Stuurman's people, not David as such, whom these people now sing praises to. Klaas was the one. Klaas, when Van der Kemp came over the Sandys River, the Nukakama River. Nukakama in Khoi means dark, greasy waters. When he crossed the Nukakama River, there stand Klaas Stuurman to welcome him. Then he said, "Welcome to this my country," he said to Van der Kemp. "Welcome to this my country." For me, it means ownership of that land. It means that we were there first. The mere fact that there's paintings and drawings in the caves, it means that we were there first.
Welcome at the Oswana Crawl in Utenek. Recently, the name of Utenek has changed to Kariga, and it means a lot to us as the First Nation. With me, I have my undisputable proof that I am the First Nation, namely the San. I'm very proud that I'm not a colored. In South Africa, up to now, there is no land for our nation. And I have decided to come to the pavement and build my kraal at the pavement. I'm training children here in this kraal how to make a fire. This is our culture, how to make a fire without a match. I must show the community what is important for us, how we was loved in the days before. At full moons, we do all the dances, we do all the necessary things what we must do. The teachings is starting in the kraal. On my left hand side, this is Mackenzie. She's 6 years old. On my right hand side is Adonia. The children from the young age, the language, they need to count, they need to pray, they need to do that. They can sing the anthem now by this stage in the Nama language. I am going to create a place where the people and the community can come and practice the culture. You cannot describe for somebody in words, but that is that special connection what we have with that area. It is of the voices of our forefathers is calling us.
My name is Chief Wallace Williams, and I'm from the Oswana tribe. I'm under the leadership of Paramount Steenkamp. We originate from Gabrinet, and then our family moved to Port Elizabeth. And currently we are at the business premises of myself, Farmers Market in Utenek. So I started out as a chief thinking, what can I do for my community? Instead of just trying to give somebody a 10 rand or 15 rand, I started with the school gardens, then the church gardens. I had meetings with them and I asked their permission if I can make community gardens, and if I can teach the children and also, unemployed people how we can actually grow our own vegetables and see to our own food security. I saw a huge amount of vegetables actually going to waste. It actually went to the pigs and it went to the goats and that. And I thought to myself, you know what? This can go to our soup kitchens. We can make up food parcels with this. We can do something. Everybody gets hyped up. But when people find out that there's actually no money involved in it, it's actually giving your time and putting in the work to get the results. And a lot of people that walked the road with me, I'd say probably 90% of them fell to the wayside, during the whole process. But the children and the people that actually needed the help at the schools, they carried on. And then I got myself to a farm and I started with the farming. And from there, I put the whole value chain to the whole produce. And then I ended up in 2017 opening farmers market. And then when the COVID pandemic hit, I thought to myself, there's a lot of people it's not working, it doesn't have an income. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make up food parcels for the community. I went to my paramount chiefs, told him what I want to do. He gave his blessing, and I went to the 4 other tribes as well. Their paramount chiefs here in Utnik and Nelson Mandela, and I asked their permission as well, and I asked them to give me names of families that need help, and some of them I delivered, and some of the chiefs I asked to come and collect it here. That is my way that I try to alleviate the poverty and the struggle that the people went through. The need isn't just for the Khoi, and I'm not just a Khoi chief. The need is amongst the people. We need to open our hearts, and we need also to open our mindsets. I respect what happened in the past, but for me, it's more about moving forward, making a difference going forward.
My name is Thomas Augustus. I am the tribal leader in the Tsitsikamma of the Kamtu Bakwa tribe. The Kamtu Bakwa tribe is a tribe that has been resurrected 5 years ago. I feel at home when I come from the city. Calmness comes on me, and tranquility that I feel at home. This place was first called Coxbosch, and later on the name of the place was changed to Clarkson. I'm not happy about that, because it was a colonist that gave 200 rand to the governor here to change the name from Coxbosch to Clarkson. In due time, we are going to change the name back again. This whole area here, I won't say it belonged to the Khoi, but they were staying here, they were living here, and they regard themselves as a custodians of the Tsitsikamma itself. Is a Khoi word, place of shining water, but it's to do with water. Whereas this area belonged to us before, and they chased us away. They chased us and put us in suburbs and locations. The land that they do have, it's our land that they have taken in a dishonest way from us. We were not brought up as Khoi. We were brought up as colored children. We didn't live our culture. We didn't talk our language, but people's land were taken from them. Their language was taken from them. Their culture was taken from them. They were, hey man, you won't believe it, but they were tortured. They were murdered. And if I go to the language now, the people were prohibited to talk the Khoi language. They should talk the language of the colonists. If I refer now to Chief Jean Burgess, When she talked about her grandmother that was stuffed in an oven because she talked her language. We as Khoi now, we even can't talk our language as it should be. It's very important that we know our heritage, because if we know our heritage, we know that where we come from and then where we are going to. We have heritage sites here to confirm that the Khoi and the San were here in the Tsitsikamma.
Dis die paradijs van die Khoi-Khois, paradijs van die Khoi-Khois, paradijs van die Khoi-Khois, Suid-Afrika. Dis die paradijs van die Inkwas, paradijs van die Inkwas, paradijs van die Inkwas, the Sewefontein. My name is Gauss Margaret Kutsia, Senior Chief of the Inkwa peoples in the Eastern Cape. We are here at Sewefontein fig forest. This is part of the broader Inkwa geographical tribal area. Sewefontein has been given back to our local community in Baviaanskloof. And this is a specific heritage site where you will mostly find the ancient fig trees of South Africa in the Eastern Cape. The ancient roots that pops up to the upper part of the soil to say we are still here. We belong here. And belonging for our peoples is still not restored in a respectful manner. But we have hope, and we will stay positive, and we don't want to fight with other people because it's not part and parcel of us. Our own way of understanding our own history is more important for our generations to come. When I am not there anymore, they must understand their own position as indigenous peoples in South Africa, not the way I grew up. Our ancestors were brutally stopped not to speak about our true situation. We are the representatives of our great Creator, who were entrusted to the different portions of the womb of Mother Earth to take responsibility, not to intoxicate Mother Earth, but to use every single resource with respect and dignity for all peoples on the womb of Mother Earth, all nations, so to say.
I'm Chief Brato Malchus, the Chief of Ikwezi Yansel Municipality. part of the great Inca nation. Right here we are in Kwesi Yanseville, where I was born and bred. It's river. It's called Nkukama, and that means grassy waters. When the people come, move inside here, the settlers move in here, they move up the river and they close to make dams along the river. People have to move out of the area to look for grazing for the cattle and animals. And we had been moved out of our ancestral land of birth. Now we become now laborers on the place. That's why I'm saying here. To make people aware that we are here because we want to know, we want to write the history of the past. So our people would know what happened in the past. Because your past will set you free. And history needs to be retold and rewrite. It's very important to me. What happened to the water is this river was constantly flowing all these years. But when people move in here, the settlers move in here, they went up the Nkukama River, né? And wherever they settled, they built a dam. And they condemned off the river so they can have water reserved for themselves. As they move on, almost 100 farms along this river up here. And so the flow of the river will become slower and slower. It's only when it rains quite heavily that the river is in flow. But when it's not rain heavily, there's no water. Then the river bed dry up. Now people can't starting with water. They have to make use of bore water. And water is the livelihood of people. Because of people become selfish, taking that doesn't belong to them. And now we have to suffer that consequences. Water is life. To the Khoi people, water is the livelihood of humankind. We see human being. That's why Khoi means man of men. When I see you, I see in you the image of God. I don't see you a color of race. That's why when they come in here, even when the cost of people move in here, they guys along with our cattle. We don't chase them away. That's why love is the livelihood of humankind. Even when we perform our rituals, water is significant when we perform our rituals. Normally it's close to rivers. Then there need to be water when we perform our rituals. So this place I belong to, I work here in this district of Yanseville as a child. That's why it belongs to me. It belongs to those who believe in me, who want to make a difference in this country, in this area. We share the resources. Because it belongs to all of us who stay. We still think, we believe. All of us who believe is in it. It belongs to us. And I belong here. I was brought up here. And that's my hometown. And that's why I want to make a difference in the society, the community, especially my Khoi people. To give them back their sense of belonging.
This is the bush that grows in the veld, and we usually light it to give praise and honor to Sui Guap, our maker, and also in honor of King Haikanoa. And this is actually a bush of praise. We also call it a bush of peace. Hence we are bringing peace to this area today, and also peace to our maker, and peace to our country and our fellow first citizens of the world. I am Danki Yafta, the Gaup of the Inqua people of the Kamde Boer area, consisting of Graafrenet, Aberdeen and New Bethesda. Okay, this area is called the Ranges. And this Ranges is the place where King Haikanoa and his people stayed. And in 2010, I had been officially inaugurated as the chief of the Inqua in the Kamde Boer. Oh, I was inaugurated
on a national Ngau ceremony by Chief Kamgaup Maleba and Chief Margaret Kutsia, and part of the people who worked in the crowd that day was Chief Elfie Reiters and also Chief Michael Williams from the Koga municipality and the Gam Towers, but he is late today. Therefore, I'm also burning this incense in his honor. This place is of very great importance too, because the spirit of King Haakon is here. So you can come here to recuperate, to refresh your spirit. This is of immensely spiritual importance for our people. As we were traveling here, my headman this morning just collected a lot of medicine on this road. So the plants that are here, we can use it for a lot of medicine. You can practice your culture. You can have your ngaus here. You can have your moonlight evenings. Yeah, we believe in the moonlight evenings, where we dance around the fire, eat some meat, and give glory to sweet Gwa or God or Ti Elop. I am an Inkwa. I am part of the First Nations of South Africa. Kain Gangans, Ti Eloba Kaise Ti, Ti Eloba Kaise Akai.
Konyama! Konyama! From the east to the west, to the south to the north, our ancestral land, we want to claim it back. This morning we come and reveal the secret place of our ancestors, the Khoi-Khoi of South Africa, here in the Babayans. May their souls rest in peace, and may they bring reconciliation between nations. Let us, as the Khoi-Khoi people, be honorable to lead the nation and the nations to freedom. Freedom of livelihood, freedom of spirit, freedom of land. May our ancestors from this day on hearken our call. Thank you very much. I'm Chief Michael Williams from the Gam Towers tribe in the Babayans area, the Koga area, and the Tsitsikamma area. May all the ancestors this morning rejoice of the meeting of our ancestor land. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Magda and the elders, for making such an absolutely amazing documentary. I've learned so much from that. Thanks for that comment, Rob. Rob Shields has said it's interesting the centrality of the land, the place in anchoring identity, and the impact of relocation. And for me, I was very interested in thinking about belonging, questions of belonging, First Nations belonging in South Africa, and what needs to happen to enable that belonging to happen. In South Africa at the moment, there's load shedding, and they have a shutdown now. There's load shedding at 12 o'clock. And Magda had said that it'll take maybe 2 to 3 minutes to connect to the generator, because that's what they have to do in South Africa when there's load shedding, when there's no electricity. So she'll be back soon. Thank you, Lucy, for telling us as well. Thank you, Olenka Bilash, responding with silence. Thank you. So there's a comment from Rob Shields. He's interested in the centrality of the land and placing, anchoring identity and the impact of relocation. He has a question. The question he has is, do you have any reflections on the ways in which identity and belonging are asserted? The chiefs are in each location and landscape. I understood that I was being instructed to look at the landscape as a homeland, but it looked desolate to my non-native metropolitan eyes. It is as if they're showing something that is supposed to be self-evident. How can educators bridge this gap?
And I would like also to, because, you know, like some of the chiefs are actually present in a room.
I know. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very grateful that they're here.
Yes, and I feel that would be actually very much important if someone of the community, I saw Chief Jean was present. Jean Versus is here. Chief Thomas Augustus is here. So Jean, I don't know if you feel to actually answer to the questions instead of me being you know, witness and having experience with you part of this, you know, of this life, but not being part of the community. So Jean,
I just want to just relay some of the gratitude for the learning and the teaching that we have in the chat from the audience today. And my thanks also.
And I wanted to mention that there is also Lucy Foster is also a colleague that she's collaborating with us.
In South Africa, the land issue is a very sensitive issue. Firstly, because we are not accepted as the first peoples in South Africa. In South Africa, there is no definition for indigenous peoples. There's one sentence that President Thabo Mbeki said when he was president, and he said, all people in Africa is indigenous to Africa. So what it effectively means, implementing it in South Africa, that everybody in South Africa is indigenous. Meaning that we cannot lay claim on, that's why we use the term first indigenous and not indigenous because of that. And there's legislation in place currently that says, it's called Act 3 of 2019 that says the Khoi-San is neither indigenous nor first indigenous nor any terminology with the same meaning. So we are by legislation still absolutely no one and nothing in South Africa. Now if we are no one and nothing, what processes do we put in place? We don't know. We lobby government, we make a lot of noise. We do what we can, but if we are legally not in South Africa, what do? So the land issue will remain until we are legally in South Africa. We try our best. We can only do so much. We can only lobby. We can only do what we're doing right now. If anybody knows how to help us, we will really appreciate it. And the views that you saw of the specific areas, those are the areas that we pointed out when we did the documentary, for the simple fact that spiritually it means a lot to us. And spiritually, when we go to those places, those are the places where we connect with the whole cosmos, where we connect with the spirits of our ancestors, with Mother Nature, with everything and every being that we can connect to. And those are the spaces that are so sacred that we are even fearful to speak when we're in those spaces. We don't have to speak. We hear the voices of our ancestors, we hear the cosmos. And those areas we don't have access to, we need to get permission to access those areas because most of it are on private property. And the owners of the property would not want to give us permission to go there simply because they're fearful that we will do land claims on it. And the claim of land in South Africa, the date was in 1998. And in 1998, we were not even aware which areas we have access to and which areas are so sacred to us. So we had to rewrite our own story. We had to speak to our ancestors, speak to the spiritual realm, to get the knowledge that's deep inside of us. And thus far, we're gaining deep inside knowledge in order to know what we are doing. So thus far, what we did is the only thing that we could do up until now. I hope that answers the questions.
In the chat, I'll read you some of the appreciations, and then there's a question. The reality expressed in the search for ancestry presents a beautiful cultural expression. Thank you for such knowledge, from Tiago Santos. A question and an appreciation also from Breshna Tavares. I would like to ask Professor Minguzzi what the situation is like in South Africa regarding the demarcation of land for Indigenous peoples. Some of this has been covered by Chief Jean. In Brazil, we are experiencing the threat of the approval of a temporal framework law that would expropriate all ethnic groups that were settled after the return to the democratic regime in the country. This has led to a series of demonstrations for land rights in Brazil. In fact, I observe similarities between the problems of our countries. Thank you to Professor Tate and the Anti-Racist Lab for offering Portuguese translation to our students in Brazil. I don't know if you want to say anything on land rights again.
I'd like to say something. We as the First Peoples don't own any communal land. What we own is a little postage stamp that we live on. So we have no communal land where we can perform our sacred ceremonies, resulting in not having access to Mother Nature and the resources. It further alienates us from reasserting whom we are. It further alienates us from our deep underlying spirituality. And there's such a lot of hopelessness right now for us as the First People. And the assimilation of us is very severe. We are being assimilated into everything that lives in South Africa. Our children get married across all the lines that you can get. And that is all processes of the assimilation. Our language is not one of the 11. People will not understand or realize the depth of the oppression, the depth of the assimilation, and the depth of the total destruction of First Peoples of South Africa.
Thanks again, Chief Burgess. An expression of gratitude from Rob Shields. Thanks for this presentation and beautiful documentary and the sharing of the chiefs. Paul Montgomery, also an expression of gratitude, I think. Thank you very much, Prof. Magda, for a wonderful talk and for your exploration of this essential topic to the cultural history and identity of the Indigenous peoples of South Africa.
Thank you.
Henry Van Dyke, thank you very much, dear Magda, for the beautiful and impressive documentary to give us a better understanding of the struggle of the Indigenous peoples.
Thank you to the Indigenous people that gave me the opportunity to do that. I really feel privileged for this experience. I've experienced that.
I'm intrigued and interested in the question of language loss. And I don't know if Gina or anyone else, any of the other chiefs or you, Magda, could say something about what can you do when languages are lost, really? How can you get first Indigenous peoples resurgence, you know, as a community in that kind of context?
Yeah, I don't know if
our language.
Yes, please,
Sorry.
Jill. Yeah, no.
What
Please.
we came to understand is that our languages are not lost. Our languages were stolen from us. And people that came into South Africa speak our language while we don't speak it. We use words that on a daily basis, we did not even know that those words that we use is our language. Like all the clicks in the Xhosa language comes from Khoi-Khoi-Gavab. Words that are actually perceived as Xhosa words are Khoi-Khoi-Gavab words. And we use Khoi-Khoi-Gavab all the time, not even knowing that it was Khoi-Khoi-Gavab. There's words that only we use in our daily communication. We speak a mixture of Afrikaans and Khoi-Khoi-Gavab currently. And in that mixture, we didn't even know that this is a mixture of Khoi-Khoi-Gavab and Afrikaans. After 1994, when we started to interact with Afrikaner whites, we realized that Afrikaner whites and us don't speak the same Afrikaans. And only then we realized we speak an Afrikaans that is actually mixed with Khoi-Khoi-Gavab. That was so intriguing that we are revitalizing those words that we use daily. We are revitalizing our language, and it's not easy to do it, but we do it. Nothing in South Africa is easy for that matter, but we're doing it, and we are very, very hopeful. We're not sure how we're going to get a Khoi-Khoi-Gavab language to become an official language, because it's not in the near horizon, but we have hope.
Yeah, I would like also to add that, for instance, Paramount Chief Steenkamp and other chief, they are facilitating some courses, especially for children, where they teach the click language to the children to relieve from young generation to so there is really like lots of work that the chief are doing in this sense. Yeah.
Thank you, Magda. From Rob Shields, the conundrum is that law creates a sort of space, a lawscape, in which only some identities and even languages are being recognized and others erased or vanished, along with the spaces and places that are part of their identities. And he suggests that we need a new lawscape.
Yeah, I would like to mention something that, you know, like the places are not erased. The places are here. What is important to understand is that the project of the settler colonialist is to establish a new narrative, and the narrative is that there is no places, that there is no indigenous identity, that there is no such a thing of indigenous people here, that there was no mainland when they arrived and they occupied not just this land, but that is the narrative that they applied in each land where they went to occupy. And that is the things. So in actual fact, what we're doing, and I think that, you know, from my side, that another very important aspect of the project that we are doing is really to make those places visible, and to actually unveil these places that are here. Now, I can make an example. One of the Chief Maleba, the one that was sitting on the beach and very close to the fish traps. The fish traps are 5 minutes from the campus, the main campus university. But those places were mainly unknown. None knew about the presence of this very important heritage site before we started to move awareness and attention on those places. So it's not that there is no places, but we really need to move attention and awareness and knowledge and as I said, you know, like to do practice of cultural reappropriation. That means to go there, to go with the representative people of the culture, leave, you know, to do ceremony for them to be first reconnected and revitalize and clean, also cleansing ceremony on those places to reestablish the spirituality in those places as well. So yeah, I think that this is a very important aspect for me to mention, and which is part of you know, is a key part of the work that we doing together. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to what Magda has said?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciation from Olenka Bilash. Thank you for the presentation and the impressive documentary. I also appreciated the questions, comments, and discussion, and I'm leaving with more knowledge about the people's identity and connection of the Indigenous people in the Eastern Cape and the challenges they face to carry out their spiritual practices and restore their sense of belonging. Rocher Boyson says, a friend of mine had a lot of contact with farmers. They told her they destroy Khoi graves when they find them. These farmers fear land claims. Any comments that you want to make on that?
Sad reality. They even destroy the rock text that's on the farms. They destroy everything that has our footprint. So it is a reality and nothing is done about it. In South Africa, there's a National Heritage Agency that is supposed to protect these things, but it's not protected because it belongs to the First Peoples, and that is the current reality for us in South Africa. There's many places where graves are literally destroyed and defaced and disrespected. We can protest as much as we like. Legislation is not implemented. There's legislation that's supposed to protect all heritage sites. But the fine print is accept the First Peoples, don't protect that. So people just do what they want. Sad but true.
Thank you so much. That is incredibly awful. I'm so sorry. Rob Shields has a question. He says, thanks for such articulate answers and comments. And then he says, it's amazing Rikosa clicks. The question he wants to ask is, what language revitalization projects are taking place, if revitalization is the correct terminology? And how do these projects relate to everyday life and culture?
I don't think we should call it revitalize, because we believe that the language is in our spirit. And we further believe that as our spirituality deepens, the language comes out. Like there's places where words comes out that we never heard before, knew before, and we know the meaning of it. So the language is coming out of ourselves. And unfortunately for us, people that aren't mother tongue Khoi-Khoi-Gavab speakers studies Khoi-Khoi-Gavab, and they have the gall to tell us that they can speak our mother tongue. How we feel, it is not speaking our mother tongue, it is being our mother tongue. And you can speak a language, but you're not that language. And to us, our language is more than just words coming out of our mouths. To us, our language is connection to everything that we are. And the more we grow in our spiritual awareness, the more the language comes out. But there are projects in communities where children are taught with songs. So they first start to sing in the language. Like in Utenek, there's a Steenkamp. He's got a project there where he teaches children. The University of Cape Town has a basic Khoi-Khoi language course, but you cannot speak the language after you've done the course. And anybody can join the course. So it isn't First Indigenous peoples specific. It's open to anybody. So I'm not sure, but we do our best at grassroots level. As I say, it's just taking the language out of our spirit again and bring it out in the open. I'm not sure when I answered the whole question. I'm getting so emotional when I speak. I don't remember part of the question. Sorry.
No, Chief Burgess. Your answers are fantastic. I'm getting emotional with you myself, actually. Yeah. Thank you so much for your openness as well.
Yeah, thank
You're welcome.
I've got a question, and it's about the future. I was thinking about what hopes do you have for the future? And do you think that that future is possible?
A future is definitely possible. I believe that our future is in our hands. And we are so strong. You will not believe the strength that we have. You will not believe the assertiveness that we have. There are certain things that blocks our going forward, but it doesn't block our internal spiritual growth. And while we have that growth inside of us, and past that growth and spirituality and identity and being us down to our grandchildren, to me, there's hope. And like my grandchildren proudly say they're first Indigenous. I could never say I'm proudly first Indigenous when I was a child. And my grandmother, when she spoke the language, she had to close the bedroom door. And we could only pick up words and she wouldn't speak it in front of us. Where I can say, wow, this word is this. I don't know where the word comes from. So there's definitely hope. There is definitely hope. We will never be hopeless. We might not have a sense of belonging yet, but we have hope that we need to grow. We need to embrace each other. We need to grow one another. And maybe next generation, they will bear the fruit of our labor. There's definitely hope.
I can't quite see. Is there another chief in the call who might like to say something about the future?
Yeah, Chief Augustus.
I'm glad that I'm here on the platform, and I must say that we have definitely hope for the future. You know, there is a structure called Pan-South, Pan-African, Pan-South African Language Board, and they are the structure that is put there to develop the language. So we really, in my opinion, my personal opinion, they are also dragging feet to develop the language and want us to be acknowledged, our language to be acknowledged as one of the indigenous languages of our country. You see, what concerns me is that the sign language was acknowledged, but each of the first indigenous people, the people that were here first, their language, I don't know why. Even the people that were here before anybody came to the shores of South Africa, they are not acknowledged by the current government. Nobody, no nation was asked to apply for acknowledgement. Why must we, as the Khoi and the San, the first indigenous people, apply for recognition, for acknowledgement from the government? and other people will decide whether you are a Khoi or a San, whether you are an indigenous leader. Why must they decide? Why must they put a commission there for the Khoi and the San? They waste millions of rand to put a commission there for us to apply for our acknowledgement, for our recognition. My question is, did the Nguni people, did they apply for recognition? Did the other people apply? Why must the very first, the people of this land, the owners of this land, why do they have to apply for recognition in this land? That is my great concern. And as Chief Jean Burgess said, our footprints are all over South Africa. Professor Magda Minguzzi also talked about the fish traps. That is proof that our people were here all the time. The caves, the paintings in the caves. That is proof. That is our card and transport, what you call it, our deeds that we were here all the time. We didn't came from somewhere. All the other people came from somewhere, but we were here.
We lost you a bit there, Chief Augustus.
Connection is a little bit bad here on my side.
Yes, yes, it is.
I think that the message that you wanted to pass to us was clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Chief Augustus. Is there another chief in the call, Magda?
Let's see, because
we can get the last word.
This week, actually, the majority of the chief went to a big ceremony that is out in the Western Cape. So I'm very grateful that Chief is here and Chief Jean.
Yes. So am I.
There was leader, a person in the room before the November. I'm not so sure it's still here because maybe like up 10 here started in some areas is the time when we start with the
yes. I know.
Yeah, so it's 8, 10, 12.
I know. I know. Yes, I know. I had that experience in March. Thank you.
Yes.
We've got 6 more minutes before we have to close. So I wanted to just pass the floor again to Chief Burgess, if she doesn't mind, for any last words.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I want to express our gratitude to Magda for being whom she is and for having the insight to share with us and see our things from a different perspective. Like for us, on how to advertise and how to assert. And the perspective that Magda gave on things was objective because she was an outsider coming in and she could look at things objectively. And I want to thank her sincerely for that. And I want to thank everybody that was present for this video and for having a little insight into what it is that we are really going through in South Africa, even though South Africa is painting a total different picture out there. And the one thing that I failed to mention is that the South African government is a signatory to the United Nations Right on Indigenous Peoples. And the impression South Africa is creating is there is no indigenous peoples to implement that rights on. And that is why they passed Act 3 of 2019 to impose on us that the Khoi-San is neither Indigenous nor First Indigenous nor any other similar terminology. Thank you for everybody that could hear a tiny drop of our story. Thank you that we are able to rewrite our own story. Thank you that we can recall whom we are, recall and be grateful. And I'm going to speak too much. I have the passion for that. So thank you. And bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Chief Burgess. Thank you. I also want to express our gratitude from us at the University of Alberta for all of the teaching that we've received today. Thank you so much, Magda, for your wonderful documentary. Thank you to all the chiefs as well for their wonderful input in the documentary, for aiding us to understand the full impact of the state of South Africa on the lives of First Nations people there. Thank you to Jovi, and thank you to the Arts Resource Center for their work. Thank you also to Mansa for her work as well. We hope to see you at other Anti-Racism Lab events. Mansa is amazing at circulating the news of our events, so you will also get invitations to those. Have a really good rest of the day and the rest of the week, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's really highly appreciated.
It's
really
been our pleasure. Our privilege, actually. Our privilege, in fact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.